For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sashnee Moodley. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
What is the significance of the booing of President Zuma and the obvious hostility of large sections of COSATU and the SSCP to his continuing as president?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of reasons why it is significant. Obviously, it's the first time that a president of South Africa has had his speech, has not been able to deliver his speech since 1994. It's the first time that the president has been booed outside of Gauteng. There was somewhere else I read that he had been booed beyond, apart from the Nelson Mandela Memorial. But what is also very interesting is this is not in a territory that is supposed to be hostile to him. Everyone wanted to blame Gauteng for the booing at the Nelson Mandela Memorial, but now this is happening in the so-called Premier League of Ismagashule, and people, there were a number of dynamics there. There were also people in red shirts saying 100% Zuma. They may well have been this Black Land First group who were there, but they were not, the level of anger against Zuma was very significant. There's also what's another factor geographically. KZN is supposed to be the prime base of President Zuma. Not only was Baleka Mbete booed, but the chair of the region was not able to talk without interruption. And this is a residue of the conflict between the former chair, when the removal of Senzo Mchunu. Now, Mchunu was seen a few days ago at the Shembe Church together with Cyril Ramaphosa, where they say to Cyril Ramaphosa, don't beat about the bush, just say you want to be president. President, tell us you want to be president, then you'll be president. The mistake someone made, they didn't tell us that you must do this, so he didn't get gotcha, put lazy. He didn't tell us he wanted this, so he didn't get it. So just come back again on such and such a date. You say, I want this, and it'll be given to you. Anyway, but Senzo, the KZN division is very interesting because that is a prime base. But then, if we come back to who is doing the booing, these are the people who brought Zuma to power, and only until very, very recently, COSATU was still backing Zuma. No one in COSATU was calling for Zuma to resign until maybe late last year. And they were not the most vociferous over Nkandla and a few other things. And what is interesting is that you have people in the cabinet of Zuma, like Minister of Agriculture, Zokwana, Minister of Public Works, Tulas Tracy. He is also from COSATU. There are deputy ministers, or Mildred Oliphant, I think is also a trade unionist. And there are a number of MPs there who went to Parliament as not representing COSATU in Parliament, but being part of a quota that was rewarded for supporting Zuma. Now, those who have been rewarded by Zuma and who, frankly, some of these people, I don't want to name them, not only from COSATU or from the SACP, some of these people are in the cabinet. Really, you can get about 100 people who are better than them. And they are put there, because they are loyal to him. Now, the ones who are loyal to him, they're still staying in the cabinet at this point in time, but they're simultaneously calling for him to step down. It's a very complicated situation. So we have a situation where there is disarray. Whether Zuma stays there or not, there's complete disarray. They don't know any longer where Zuma can go and speak. COSATU has made it very clear, or a lot of them are making it very clear, that he shouldn't come to their Central Committee meeting in a few weeks' time. And I mean, people in the SACP, only a short while ago, when Nkandla was being debated, a lot of those people were amongst the most vociferous in finding reasons for saying it was legitimate, and the public protector's report was a lot of nonsense and this and the other. Now all of this support base has eroded, but somehow he stays there. So that is, he's not a man who responds constructively to criticism, just swats it off, you know, carries on.
So with Zuma not moving, how is this going to unfold?
Well, you know, I think that people have to look at within the ANC itself and not abandon the ANC, not avoid trying to influence the ANC. But they also need to look without illusions at what they can do. It's not just the ANC who can change things. It's possible for opposition parties to make Parliament unworkable. Now, in other words, the disruptions of the EFF have made it unworkable at certain points. Now, I'm not sure that that is going to succeed, because DA is unlikely to want to do this, because once they set the precedent of that happening, if they were to become a ruling majority or have a majority of support, it could well turn on them as well. So, but I mean, there are things you can do in Parliament selectively, but you have a problem in South Africa with this entire Zuma period, that there's institutional malfunctioning, dysfunctionality, and so on. But some people are sensing that the tide is turning. Like the Minister of Energy has admitted that the strategic oil reserves were sold illegally, and that lies were told by the previous minister and others. Now, that wouldn't have been said a few months ago. You have a situation where the Hawks give this big hype about this arrest of a so-called coup plotter. Now, I read that, and I'm not a big Twitter person, but I just put two hashtags: fake plot, fake prosecution. And a week later, it's very clear that it is. And I didn't know. I just got a sense that someone who's against so-called white monopoly capital, but is also against state capture, how can this person be a real threat to the state? There's something not functioning very well. So there's a lot, but yesterday the acting commissioner of police criticized them for this, the Hawks and the NPA for doing this. And I think these things are showing that while there isn't a change, people are feeling the heat. You know, when there are thousands of people in the street, and some of them are your relatives, in revolutions, what happens is you go and give flowers to the police and so forth, and a lot of the police change sides. Now, I'm not saying there's a revolution or anything like that, but I think they are living in communities, do not have water, and they all know about Nkandla. Lots of people know the phrase pay back the money, Zupta, all these things. So that what can be done with this, in my view, is that we've got to come back to a national discussion, building a national vehicle for taking the energies and the feelings of these people forward towards rebuilding our democracy. Now, I don't have a blueprint, and I think it's too often that people say they have achieved X when they've not achieved X. we've got to understand it's not going to be quick. What these people have done to the country is actually problematic. And it's not just problematic, it's like devastating. And whoever has to start again, it's difficult.
Thank you, Professor. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the booing of Zuma.